Part 1. My mom kicked me out over a gift I bought myself. So, a little background before anyone jumps to conclusions. I'm 23, I still live with my mom, single parent, my dad was never in the picture, and up until a week ago, things between us were, not perfect, but tolerable. We had our arguments, sure, but she was still my mom and I still loved her. I paid rent, helped with groceries, did most of the cleaning, and even helped with bills when her hours got cut at work. I worked full-time in a mid-size marketing agency, not glamorous, but decent enough to afford my own stuff and, occasionally, spoil myself. Which is exactly what started all this. The gift. About 3 weeks ago, I finally decided to buy myself something I'd been eyeing for years. Without giving away too much yet, I'll say it was expensive, like 2 months of my rent, expensive. I'd been saving for it for over a year, and when I saw it on sale, still pricey, but significantly less than usual, I pulled the trigger. When it arrived, I was over the moon. I unpacked it in my room like a kid at Christmas. I didn't parade it around the house because I knew my mom's reaction wouldn't be pure joy. She's never been the good for you, treat yourself type. She's more the why would you waste money on that when you could be saving for something practical type. But of course, she found out. How she found out? We share a hallway closet for storage. I'd put the box in there temporarily while reorganizing my desk. I figured she wouldn't even notice. But the next day, I came home from work to find her in the living room holding the box like it was radioactive. "What is this?" she asked, her voice in that low, quiet tone she uses when she's really mad. I told her exactly what it was. Her eyes went wide, then narrowed, and she let out this half-laugh, half-scoff like I'd just confessed to buying a pet tiger. "You spent how much on this?" she demanded. I told her the number, which made her jaw literally drop. The argument. From there, it spiraled fast. She said I was irresponsible, selfish, and acting like some influencer with money to burn. I reminded her, calmly at first, that it was my money, I'd saved for it, and I wasn't taking anything from her. That's when she brought up the fact that she'd asked me for help with her car repairs 2 months ago, and I'd said I couldn't at the time. Which is true, but I was in the middle of paying off a credit card, and she knows I don't like to carry debt. Her take? I was hoarding money for selfish luxuries while my family, meaning her, struggled. The escalation. I don't know if anyone here has a parent who fights like this, but once my mom gets going, it's not about the original issue anymore. She started bringing up old stuff, the time I went on a weekend trip with friends instead of helping paint the garage, the fact that I don't check in with her enough when I'm out, the way I sometimes eat dinner in my room instead of with her. At one point she actually said, "You think you're better than me because you make more money," which, what? I've never even implied that. The fight ended with her saying, "If you have so much money to throw around, maybe you can find somewhere else to live." The shock. I honestly thought it was just one of those heat-of-the-moment threats parents make. But the next morning, she texted me at work, "I meant what I said. You have until the end of the week to move out." "No, we'll talk later." "No, I'm still upset but maybe we can work it out." Just a flat eviction text from my own mom. I called her immediately, thinking maybe she was bluffing. Nope. She said she was tired of my disrespect, and that if I wanted to play adult and buy stupid things, I could go pay adult rent somewhere else. My headspace. Here's the thing, I can afford to move out. I've been thinking about it for a while. But I wasn't ready yet. Not emotionally, not logistically. And I never imagined I'd be moving because my mom couldn't handle me buying something with my own money. I feel this weird mix of anger, hurt, and guilt. Like, on one hand, I know I didn't do anything wrong, it's not like I drained our savings or stole from her. On the other, this is my mom, and she's cutting me off over something that, in the grand scheme of things, shouldn't matter. The twist. Here's where it gets more complicated. Last night, I found out the real reason she's so mad. And it's not just the money. I was packing up some clothes when my cousin, who's close to my mom, called. She said Mom had been venting to her, and apparently, she thinks my gift is going to ruin my life. Not because it's impractical, but because she believes it's inappropriate and dangerous. Why? Because she found my receipt, Googled the brand/model, and discovered that what I bought has a certain reputation online. I don't want to give it away yet, but let's just say it's not illegal, not unsafe, and definitely not morally wrong. But to my mom? It's a slippery slope to ruining my career and my relationships. Now I'm stuck between being furious that she judged me so hard, and wondering if she's secretly projecting her own issues onto me. And the worst part? What she said right before hanging up last night. You think you're just buying yourself a toy. You have no idea what doors you're opening. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but I have a feeling I'm about to find out. To be continued in Part 2. Part 2, my mom kicked me out over a gift I bought myself, the real reason. When I posted Part 1, I got a ton of comments guessing what the gift was. Some of you were way off. No, I didn't buy a motorcycle or a diamond-encrusted toilet, and some of you got eerily close. But here's the thing, it's not so much the item itself, it's what my mom thinks it means. Let me back up. The dangerous gift. The thing I bought? A high-end DSLR camera with a pro-level lens. Something I've wanted since college. I do a lot of photography as a hobby, landscapes, street shots, portraits of friends. I've always dreamed of maybe doing it semi-professionally, but until now, my gear was super entry-level. The model I bought is the kind you see in the hands of wedding photographers or travel bloggers with thousands of followers. It's gorgeous, it's powerful, and yes, it was expensive. So why would my mom lose her mind over a camera? Because in her head, a camera like that means only one thing, content creation, and not the wholesome kind. How she connected the dots. Apparently, after she Googled the model, she found a bunch of YouTube videos and Reddit threads where people talked about using this exact setup for spicy work, OnlyFans, amateur shoots, that sort of thing. She immediately decided that I must be planning to get into that world. When I confronted her about it, she didn't even try to hide her assumption. She looked me dead in the eye and said, "You're going to start taking those kinds of pictures, aren't you? Don't lie to me." I laughed at first because I thought she was joking. She wasn't. The confrontation. Me, Mom, it's a camera. People use cameras for literally everything. Her, not that kind. That's not a family camera, that's a professional camera. And I know what kind of professionals use it. Me, photographers? Artists? People with actual businesses? Her, don't play dumb. I'm not going to watch my daughter throw her life away chasing attention online. That last line stung. It wasn't just the accusation, it was the way she said attention online like it was equivalent to committing a crime. The family meeting. Because apparently this needed to be a whole production, she called my aunt and my cousin over to talk some sense into me. I sat there in the living room like I was on trial. My aunt tried the "we're just worried" angle. My cousin was quieter, clearly uncomfortable, but still said, "You have to admit, it does look like you're planning something." I kept repeating that I just wanted better gear for my hobby. My mom rolled her eyes every time, like I was feeding her a rehearsed lie. The nuclear statement. At one point, my mom slammed her hand on the coffee table and said, "You think this is just about you, but it's not. People will see what you're doing and think it's a reflection on me." And there it was. The real reason. Not safety. Not morality. Not my future. She was worried about her reputation. That hit me in a way I didn't expect, because it made everything else click. Every fight we've ever had about my clothes, my friends, my social media, it was never about me. It was about how I made her look. The ultimatum. By the end of this so-called meeting, she gave me two options. Return the camera, get my money back, and prove I wasn't going down a bad path. Keep it, but move out immediately. I asked her point blank, "So you'd rather kick your own daughter out than admit you might be wrong?" She didn't answer. She just said, those are your choices. My decision. I chose to keep the camera. Not out of spite, okay, maybe a little, but because I refuse to set the precedent that she can control my choices with threats. I've been saving for that thing for over a year. I wasn't about to give it up because she'd invented some scandal in her head. That same night, I started looking at apartments. I called a couple of friends to see if they knew of any short-term leases or roommate situations. The twist I didn't expect. Here's where things got weird. A few days later, I got a DM on Instagram from a username I didn't recognize. The message said, "Your mom's been asking around about you. Be careful who you trust." I stared at it for a solid minute, wondering if it was a prank. The account had no profile picture, no posts, and only a handful of followers. When I asked who it was, they replied, "Let's just say I know what she's telling people." The gossip. Turns out, my mom's not just speculating to family. She's been telling people at her church, and even some of my high school acquaintances' parents, that I'm getting into adult work. This is before I've even moved out, before I've posted a single photo with my new camera. I only know this because one of my old classmates texted me, "Hey, is it true you're doing OnlyFans? Your mom's saying some wild stuff." I wanted to throw my phone across the room. The fallout. Now, I'm in this bizarre position where my mom is actively trying to poison my reputation to save me from something I'm not even doing. I'm scrambling to move out while making sure she doesn't find some way to sabotage my job. I'm suddenly hyper-aware that anything I post online could be twisted into proof of her narrative. And the worst part? The more she talks, the harder it'll be to undo. The decision ahead. I'm picking up my keys for a new place this weekend. It's not perfect, small, a little overpriced, but it's mine. I'm planning to cut contact for a while, at least until she realizes she can't control my life by controlling my living situation. But there's a part of me that's worried. Not about moving. About that mysterious DM. If someone's close enough to my mom to know what she's saying, but also willing to warn me, who else knows? And what else is she planning? Because when I stopped by the house yesterday to grab a few more boxes, she said something that chilled me. "You think moving out will protect you? It won't. I can still make sure people know what kind of person you are." I don't know if she means more gossip, or if she's got something else in mind. But I have this sinking feeling that this fight isn't ending when I walk out the door. To be continued in Part 3. Part 3, my mom kicked me out over a gift I bought myself, the escalation. I thought moving out would be the end of the drama. I thought she'd let the dust settle, realize she'd overreacted, and maybe we'd talk like normal people again in a few weeks or months. Instead, it feels like she saw me leaving not as a conclusion, but as a challenge. First week in the new place. The apartment is small. You can touch both walls in the kitchen without stretching much, and the bathroom fan sounds like a dying lawn mower. But it's mine. No one's telling me what I can buy, what I can wear, or how I spend my time. I unpacked my camera gear first, priorities, and even took a few sunset shots from the tiny balcony. For the first time in weeks, I felt genuinely calm. That lasted until Thursday. The accidental text. I got a text from my mom's number, but it was clearly not meant for me. She's completely lost now. I tried to stop her but she won't listen. God help her. A minute later. "Sorry, that wasn't for you." I didn't respond. I didn't need to. She wanted me to see that. Classic manipulation: send a message designed to make me feel guilty, then play it off like a mistake. The work incident. The real hit came the next day at work. I'm in a mid-sized marketing firm, mostly remote but with occasional office days. My boss called me into a private Zoom and asked, very awkwardly, if there was anything about my online presence he should know. Turns out, someone had emailed him from an anonymous account, claiming I was building a brand in the adult industry and might bring reputational risks to the company. I asked if they had any proof. They sent screenshots from my public Instagram, of me holding my camera, cropped to look suggestive, and captions taken out of context. My breaking point. I knew instantly it was my mom. Or at least, someone she'd influenced. She's the only one obsessed enough to connect my camera to this imaginary career. After the call, I locked myself in my bathroom and cried until my face hurt. It wasn't just about work, it was the realization that she was willing to sabotage my livelihood over her own paranoia. The Confrontation, Part 2. That night, I called her. Me, did you email my boss? Her, I don't know what you're talking about. Me, don't lie to me. This is harassment. Her, harassment? I'm protecting you. You're walking down a path that will ruin your life, and if that means getting your employer to intervene, then so be it. Me, you'd rather see me unemployed than admit you're wrong? Her, better unemployed than disgraced. I hung up before I said something I couldn't take back. The DM returns. Remember the mystery Instagram account that warned me before? They messaged again. She's talking to someone who can make fake proof. Watch yourself. I asked who they were. They said, I used to go to her church. I've seen what she's capable of when she decides someone's a problem. Chills. Absolute chills. Escalation. A week later, a coworker quietly pulled me aside, virtually, Slack DM, and told me a new rumor was circulating, that I'd been fired from my last job for inappropriate conduct. Which is completely false. I left my last job because the company folded. But in the world of gossip, truth doesn't matter, only repetition does. I felt like I was playing whack-a-mole with my own reputation. The unexpected ally. Here's where things shifted. My cousin, the one who was awkwardly quiet during the family meeting in Part 2, called me. He said he'd been keeping tabs because he thought the whole thing was messed up. And then he dropped this. Your mom's been bragging to Aunt Linda that she's teaching you a lesson by making sure no one hires you in this city. Bragging. Like this was some masterclass in parenting. The recording. Cousin suggested I come by Aunt Linda's next weekend, because she'd overheard my mom saying things she might want to hear for herself. Sure enough, when I showed up, my aunt had her phone ready. She played me a recording from a recent brunch. It was my mom, loud and clear. I told her boss, her friends, even her neighbors. She's going to have to move far away before she learns. I had physical proof now. The choice. With that recording, I could go nuclear, send it to HR, confront her publicly, maybe even look into a harassment claim. But I knew the second I did, she'd spin it as, my own daughter is suing me, and double down. So I made a quieter plan. My move. I contacted a friend from college who now lives 3 states away. She had a spare room and was more than happy to let me crash while I find something more permanent. I didn't tell my mom. I didn't even tell most of my local friends. 2 weeks later, I was gone. The aftermath. The DM account messaged one last time. Smart move. She's telling people you ran away in shame, but at least now she can't touch your job. And that's the strange, bittersweet truth. I had to uproot my whole life because of one person's need for control. But I've got my job, my camera, and a fresh start in a place where no one knows my mom's version of me. Where we stand now. It's been 3 months. She's sent a few emails, some guilt trips, some pretending nothing happened. I haven't replied. Do I miss her? Yes, in a way. She's still my mom. But until she can admit that her protection was actually destruction, I can't let her back in. And if anyone reading this ever finds themselves in a similar situation, document everything. Screenshots, recordings, witnesses. You might never need them, but if you do, they can save you. End of series.